Today, uh, we will be discussing about the exam schedule, the syllabus, and the marking scheme for the upcoming exam of assistant planner and planning assistant, which will be held by the Chennai Metropolitan Development Authority. So we will proceed with discussing a little bit about the exam, the number of posts, the number of vacancies that are there. Then we'll go through the exam syllabus, the marking scheme for the exam, and the exam schedule, and the important dates and time. So if we see, the exam is being held for two positions. Firstly is the post of an assistant planner, where the total number of vacancies are 15. And the second one is the post of a planning assistant, where again the number of vacancies are 15. So overall there are a total of 30 vacancies, and the exam will be conducted for these 30 positions. So now we will go through the syllabus of the exam and try and understand what is expected. That is what is expected out of a candidate, or what one should know before preparing for the exam or appearing for the exam. So the syllabus has been divided into 11 different subtopics. So we will go through each of them thoroughly. So starting with the planning history and theory. So if we go through, read this, all of this, what one is expected to know is the evolution of human settlements and how humans have evolved in terms of respect to the settlement and the planning that has been taking place since humans exist. So right from your Stone Age and period of that human settlement to Indus Valley civilization, then different kingdoms that were there, that existed, or even the town planning that was there under the British, till what the urban planning theories are in today's time, is something that is expected for a candidate to know. Then we have the urban and regional planning in India as the second subtopic. So if we see this, that in this one is expected to know the regional planning that has taken place in India post independence, the important 5-year plans that we had, the importance of various national commissions. Uh, like earlier we had the planning commission, now we have Niti Aayog. So these different commissions and their roles. Along with that, another important thing is the URDPFI guidelines, and likewise various other government schemes that have helped shape the urban planning in India. Along with that, one is also expected to know the different kinds of plans. For example, the regional plan, what is a master plan, what are new town development plans. So one is expected to know various kinds of plans from a macro to a micro scale. Then we have the planning law and legislation. In this, one is expected to know what are the various laws that have been enacted in the country, which have helped shape the urban planning in the nation. For example, one of the most important constitutional amendments, that is the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts, which have led to the democratic decentralization uh, in the nation. So how have they played an important role? in shaping the planning in the nation is another important thing. Along with that, various policies, acts, and regulatory frameworks, various important acts like the Town and Country Planning Acts, the Land Acquisition Acts, the Environmental Protection Acts, and also various policies that are introduced by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Then, in terms of urban governance, one is expected to know various organizations that are involved in planning and in urban governance. Also, along with this, one is expected to know different uh, models like private participation, public private partnership, and not only that, like we had seen in the previous slide, where one was expected to know what was the 73rd and 74th amendment, but in urban governance one is also expected to know the impacts of the 73rd and 74th amendment act and how has it helped in urban governance. Along with this, various international agencies and their roles in shaping the urban governance in the nation is what one is expected to know. So, if we see here, the urban governance scales are from a grassroots level, that is, we can call it, let's say, a micro or the village level, to your state level, up to national level and international level. So, if we see, one is expected to know the various forms of governance and the various organizations playing an important role in it, right from a village level up to the international level. Then, in terms of metropolitan planning as another subtopic, one is expected to know the various scales of plans, the uh, from micro to macro and macro to micro, what kinds of plans are there, from a regional plan to a master plan to development plan or a small town planning scheme. So, a variety of scales that are needed in planning. Then, another important thing that one should know is the socio-economic surveys, what is inclusive planning, and various other aspects which help in the financing, the finance and the budget part related to planning. Also, it is important to know that along with planning, the implementation and review are an important part that one should know. Then, moving on to the next subtopic, with respect to housing, one needs to know the various policies at the national, state, and the international level. For example, one policy that is working right now in India at the national level is the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. And with respect to policies at the international level, or we have the Habitat 1, 2, 3, and the various outcomes that have come from these discussions at Habitat 1, 2, and 3, which are an important part related to housing. Again, various legislations, that is your acts, like the Slum Clearance Act, Rent Control Act, and the most recent, that is the RERA Act. Then various terminologies like housing demand, supply, affordability, and all is expected. to be known. Then with respect to environmental planning, one should know various aspects of environmental planning as to what is climatology, the impact of climate, microclimate on planning, and in terms of sustainable development and planning, what can be done. Also, the new developments, new upcoming ideas like the blue green infrastructure or various ecological assets and their protection is also important. Along with that, various legal aspects or laws and management plans like the environmental impact assessment, the coastal regulations that are there, and not only with and we not only this, but one is also expected to know the mitigations or the initiatives that can help in protecting the environment. For example, the rainwater harvesting, solar energy harvesting, what is carbon pricing, and all of that is what is expected from one. In traffic and transportation planning, uh, what is more important is the traffic surveys, different types of surveys that take place or that are conducted, different models of transportation, various comprehensive mobility plans, also various concepts like transit oriented development, and all of that. Along with this, what one is also expected to know is that uh, what are the impacts of your transportation, where you have the air and noise pollution, which is one of the major impacts, negative impacts that is being caused by transportation, especially your private transportation. So what are the impacts and how this can be reduced? Also, along with that, different models of public private partnership like bot, boot, etc., are important. Then in terms of disaster management, knowing various types of disasters, natural disasters, and what are the initiatives that can be taken to mitigate these disasters, what are the disaster management plans that should be followed is important. In terms of real estate, one should know what are the types of ownership, how what is transfer of property, various taxes, betterment levies, development charges related to properties are also important. Along with that, another important thing is the FDI regulations and their impact on the real estate, wherein you have the foreign direct investment coming into the real estate sector and its impact on the economy and the surrounding conditions. And the last subtopic is the urban information systems, wherein various upcoming technologies and uh, new softwares, technologies related to the field of planning and their implementation in planning. For example, the use of big data related to planning, then various softwares like GIS, remote sensing, and use of drones, and all of this is expected from a candidate. Also, like I said, the application of various softwares is important to be known. Then we will move on to the marking scheme of the exam, wherein the exam is going to be a computer based test. there will be two papers that will be conducted. So the first paper will be a language paper of Tamil language, and it will be a qualifying paper, only a qualifying paper. That means the marks you score in this paper, that is paper 1, will not be calculated in the total result or in the final result. Okay, and the syllabus for the same is your 10th standard level Tamil language. So the number of questions for the paper 1 are 100 and the marks are 100. Total marks for paper 1 will be 100. And the second paper is the technical test, which will be related to planning. So here, like I said, paper 1 will be qualifying. So in paper 1, if you score minimum 40 plus marks, okay, above, if you score above 40 marks, then only your paper 2 will be corrected. So if a candidate gets 40 plus, then only his or her paper 2 will be corrected. So again, the paper 2 will have 100 questions and the total marks will be of 95 marks for paper 2. And depending upon your marks in paper 2, the candidate will be further called for an interview or certificate verification and oral test, which will consist of 5 marks. So your total final selection result will be dependent on the marks scored in your paper 2 and in the interview. So coming to the important dates, the exam will be conducted on 22nd January 2022, wherein the paper 1 timing for both the posts, that is the assistant planner and planning assistant, is same, that is 9:30 to 11:30. And the timing for the other paper 2 for assistant planner is from 4:30 to 6:30, and for planning assistant is from 1 to 3. So if you see, if I'm sure most of you must have applied for it already, a person can attempt or fill the form for both these posts, and that is why these timings have been shuffled this way, so that if you are appearing for both these posts, you can attempt it accordingly. So I hope this helps you all. Thank you.